Is there really a global climate crisis, and if so, is it solely a matter of science, politics and economics, or does it also have a spiritual dimension? What responsibility do Christians and churches bear in caring for creation, and how can they contribute in practical ways to the responsible stewardship of our natural resources? I'm now discussing these questions with Dr. Jerry Pillay, General Secretary of the World Council of Churches here in Geneva. In his view, it is not enough to conduct this debate solely from ecological or economic perspectives. He understands our relationship with creation equally as a matter of faith, human dignity and responsibility before God. He also explains why the World Council of Churches has made climate justice one of its central priorities and why it works closely with other churches, including the Roman Catholic Church. Particularly in the areas of human dignity, social justice and the care of creation, both sides cooperate closely today, even though the Catholic Church is not a member of the World Council of Churches. This is EWTN, this is Geneva, and this is our report from Geneva. How can churches make a practical contribution to caring for creation? Are appeals for responsible stewardship of the environment enough, or do we need far-reaching changes in politics, business and society and the churches? I am discussing these questions with Dr. Jerry Pillay, General Secretary of the World Council of Churches in Geneva. Welcome, Dr. Pillay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you this afternoon. I look forward to our questions.
Climate change is often discussed as an environmental or economic issue, but you see it fundamentally as a spiritual and moral crisis as well. What unique contribution can faith communities make that governments and public institutions cannot?
Well, I think when we understand that the world is created by God and this is God's world, when we read Psalm 24, for example, the earth belongs to the Lord and everything in it. And that is already an important indication. There are many scriptures one can quote in terms of saying this is God's world. And if this is God's world, then we have to have a holistic understanding of how we approach the world. The climate crisis is not just an environmental crisis. It is not just an economic crisis. It is a deeply spiritual crisis. Because what we find that we are doing today is that we are not good stewards. We are not caring for the world as God has called us to care for it. We are exercising dominion. We are not thinking about generations that will follow. We are using things not in a sparing way. And those are all deeply spiritual aspects. How do you care for another? When we talk about caring for another, that's a deeply spiritual aspect. When we talk about how do we provide for somebody else living in the same space on this planet called Earth, that is a deeply spiritual question. So in terms of understanding the climate crisis, solely from a perspective of economic and tendencies of environmental issues, it is far more than that. You have to deal with the social realities, and you have to deal with the social ills that we experience. But also, the church and faith communities have the opportunity to be prophetic. That when we see exploitation at its worst, when we see the powerful extract from the earth more than they need to, we need to be prophetic to say enough is enough. We need to say as churches, as faith communities, you should not be doing this. So the moral conscience, the prophetic message is what the church brings and the faith communities bring into this conversation. So there's a whole lot of dimension here. There is the prophetic message. There is the practical aspects in terms of shaping and changing people's behavior. But there's also the dimension of dealing with environmental issues and economic issues. So one of the things that we've been doing quite regularly is to campaign for changes in policies, in government action, and in the people who are responsible to provide a good management of the earth and the environment. And the faith communities provide all of those things in a very integrated way and have major contributions into these discussions.
Many faith communities have long been engaged in charity and humanitarian work. Climate justice, however, calls for addressing the structural causes of suffering. How should churches and religious organizations move from acts of compassion to advocating for fundamental changes in society?
Well, I think for long, a lot of faith communities, including the WCC, has moved from just simple a sense of advocacy to actually work for deep structural changes. Charity and relief has been the norm by which we have actually entered into the space, and for a long time, even born out of scriptures, we have promoted charity and relief. But in the 80s and 90s, and perhaps even before the 80s, we have moved to development, we have moved to transformation. And transformation is a key thing here. So it's not just a matter of advocacy, but it's a matter of transformation. And the transformation speaks about changing systems. Now, you have seen also within the years and centuries that emergence of different types of theology have come to the fore. For example, liberation theology. Liberation theology tells us that we don't only change a person's lifestyle in terms of how they live, but we change the environment in which they live. And therefore, changing the environment speaks about concerted effort in changing everything in its entirety. And this is what we advocate. We advocate from a climate justice point of view, how do we help people to change their lifestyles? But not only do we change the lifestyles, in changing lifestyles we change the environment. But in changing the environment, we also have to change policies and systems and practices that actually harm creation and that does not assist and help us to move forward in terms of caring for the earth. So yes, we've got to move from charity, we've got to move to climate justice. And climate justice speaks about advocacy, transformation, change. And all of those things are needed in order to make a difference, to create a better world for all people and all creation.
In a world marked by religious, political and cultural divisions, could climate justice become the most important platform for global cooperation among the world's religions in the 21st century?
It is quite interesting that in the conversations that we've been having as the World Council of Churches with other ecumenical organizations and also with interfaith organizations, that we've been asking for places in which we can collaborate together. Because if we are wanting to change the world and transform the world, we believe sincerely that we have to work with many different faith communities, we have to work with different NGOs, and work with all people of goodwill who have the same common desire to transform the world. And one of the things that we have actually done so far in asking the question of where can we collaborate, every single community, interreligious organizations, NGOs have identified the issue of climate justice. The World Council of Churches has started what we call the campaign for climate justice action. And in that campaign, we have invited not only member churches, but ecumenical organizations and all NGOs and interfaith communities to also come and be part of this particular platform. So I agree that if there's anything that we need right now to work on, the WCC has identified that climate justice is one of the most important priorities for us, but many, many other organizations have also discerned the same. And therefore we are collaborating. And I think that this is a platform that can bring different people of different faith communities together, that we can have a common interest to work towards creating a better world and planet. And I think this particular issue, a global issue, a major issue, a crisis that we are facing in this time, if we admit that, of course, can bring people together and serves as a wonderful platform and opportunity, not only for interfaith work, but for work across the different levels of religious organizations and even secular organizations.
The World Council of Churches has worked together with the Roman Catholic Church for decades. What significance does this cooperation have for you and for the World Council of Churches, Dr. Pillay?
Yes, the World Council of Churches works quite extensively with the Roman Catholic Church. We have a joint committee that works on issues of unity and theology, but we also have people from the Roman Catholic Church serving on our commission. For example, we have a commission on climate justice and sustainable development, and it also involves Catholics who have been appointed by the Roman Catholic Church to be part of that commission. So there's joint collaboration, there's joint work, and our program activities always offer an invitation to the Roman Catholic Church to be involved with us, and they too an invitation to us to be involved with them. So there is certainly a cross-working of the different churches, but more particularly the World Council of Churches enjoys at this point in time working with the Roman Catholic Church on a number of different issues, but more specifically also on climate justice action issues as well.
In our conversation, Dr. Jerry Pillay emphasized 4 central themes. First, caring for creation is not only an ecological responsibility, but also a spiritual one. Second, churches are called not only to provide relief in times of need, but also to work for just and sustainable change in society and public policy. Third, climate issues unite churches, faith communities, and people of goodwill around the world in a common cause. And fourth, the World Council of Churches and the Roman Catholic Church work closely together, particularly in matters relating to the care of creation and climate-related issues. In this context, Pope Leo XIV said in his message for the World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation in 2025, "For believers, care for creation is a vocation born of faith itself. Care for creation thus becomes an expression of our faith and of our humanity." Thank you for your interest. God bless you.